Hi, everyone. Welcome to this LinkedIn Live. My name is Julia Lefevre, and I just want to give people a chance to check in. We're going to be talking about conflict today. And I've heard from a lot of you that this is just something that is part of regular life. And so I'm excited to kind of dive in. So if you're joining us, I would just invite you to post in the comments, let us know who you are, where you're from. And I'd really love to have you all comment on something that you are hoping to learn or improve regarding conflict. So, my name is Julia Lefevre. I am a professional neurochange uh, coach, and I love to help people overcome the things that have kept them stuck. And I'm excited to be able to do that in this area of um, of of conflict. So, real quickly, while people are coming, I wanted to um, let you know that after in a few weeks, I'm going to be doing a neurochange workshop that is called the Neurochange Advantage. It's a workshop for leaders to just dive in a little bit more to what has been what neuroscience is telling us about how our brains work and how we can be leveraging that for good in the workplace. So, want to give you the heads up on that. I will put the link in the comments. I'm going to do that right now. Oh, it's not going to let me. Here we go. Let's see if that works. Um, and I can send it out later too, and we'll come back to that. But just wanted to give you the heads up that that's coming. Okay, here is our agenda for today. So, for the next 30 minutes, I essentially want to define conflict. A lot of us, I think, have different ideas about what conflict is, and we really are going to do better if we can align on what we're addressing here. Then I'm going to introduce 4 core capacities. If you've been following me at all, you've probably seen how really everything funnels down to these 4 core. And then finally, we're going to explore how we can use those core 4 in our conflict strategies. So let's get started. All right. I want to give you a little bit of a brain lesson. So I'm going to start over now. So brainstem. So information comes into us through the brainstem. You can think of it as the red button is pushed and information starts coming up through our brain. Then it moves up into the limbic system. And this is where uh, our motivation and really this is our inner judge. It's actually a good thing because it's the gatekeeper. It's going to tell us, you can see the little graphic there. Do we lock this up? Do we keep it safe here? Or do we send it up into our thinking brain? And so I'm going to show you my brain model using a hand. So picture this as the brainstem. And then the information comes up and it comes in here to the amygdala. And that's where your felt experiences are stored. If it's okay, if it feels like, okay, I can send that up, then it shoots it up into the thinking brain. And this is where you have the right hemisphere and the left hemisphere. Now, it first goes into your right brain. Uh, if you follow me very much, you will hear me talk a lot about your right brain. This is where our intuition comes. We think in pictures in the right brain. On the left side is then where it becomes rational thought and language. And so if you think about, let me move to my next slide here. The process that happens here is that you have an experience, something happens, it hits your limbic, it goes up your brainstem into the limbic system. This is where you start to feel things. Even when it goes up to the thinking brain, it's the right brain that feels even more, and it's starting to become more conscious. And then it gets to the left brain where we have thoughts. Now, that is what impacts our responses, our behavior. So, I know many of you are behavioral change people or you're change managers. Any leader is wanting to impact the behavior of those they lead. And so, this information is going to be really important because the problem with this is that so often we try and address behavior uh, with going to the prefrontal cortex with our thinking brain. But at its core, we really need to be focusing more on the limbic system. So we'll come back to that later. But the question then is what is conflict? So how does conflict fit into this? Well, here's how. You have two people. You start and you have an interaction where one person's response, so they have had a stimulus, their limbic system has come into play, prefrontal cortex is now thinking, which then affects the response, the behavior. Well, when that behavior becomes the stimulus that intersects with another person's core wound, a core belief, a need that was never met, that is where conflict happens. So, what I want you to recognize in this is that conflict is not at the response. It happens at the deeper level. If you saw my post today, you saw the iceberg and you have all these buttons under the water. That's what we're talking about. It's happening in the limbic system. So, why does that matter? What do we need to do about it? Here's why it matters. Let me come back to my notes here. So the reason it matters is because we are addressing conflict in the wrong place. We often address conflict, we address the symptoms which come out in the behaviors when we need to be digging deeper. Now, if you're like most leaders that I know, most leaders are telling me that I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I don't know how to go deeper. And what I want to say is that neither am I. We have, as leaders, the capacity to handle conflict at a deeper level, but we're going to need to do it in a way that you're probably not expecting. And so the way we need to do it is by accessing our core capacities, our 4 core capacities. And let me tell you why. So let's just start with the first capacity, the capacity for connection. Now, you might be thinking, why on earth do I need to be able to focus on me to be able to deal with other people's triggers? And the reason is that if you go back to this, you need to be able, your limbic system, where your wounds are stored, where your triggers are, needs to be so healthy that when somebody's response triggers you, you are healthy enough that you can respond in a way that is healthy and moves things forward. So I know, you guys are all on LinkedIn and we all see all these posts, be kind or show empathy or communicate clearly. And everyone's telling us what to do. But the problem is that it's our capacity to do those things that isn't there. And so it's why I love what I get to do, because I get to help people build their capacity, to build their muscles, to be able to do the things that everyone's telling them to do. So, uh, connection, what that means in the realm of conflict, that this is the idea that you are able to connect relationally with the person. That means that in a conflict situation where somebody is even triggering your own triggers, that you can still move close to them. You can handle their big emotions. So even if they aren't responding the right way, you as a leader are regulated. You are able to move close to that discomfort instead of away. Now, that reminds me, I had asked several of you, what is your biggest struggle with conflict? And everybody that I asked, all of the results that I got back, it had to do with how it feels. And then there were two responses. There was either I avoid it because I don't want to enter in to this to the discomfort, so I avoid it. Well, when we're talking about that, that's indicative of your capacity for connection. So instead of just telling yourself, step into what is uh, step into what is not comfortable, we actually can help you to build the muscles to be able to not be as emotionally affected. Now, on the other side, many of you guys said that it's kind of the opposite. So that's kind of the flight response. But some of you said, actually, I kind of go into fight mode, right? So I am engaging and I get dysregulated. So then I fight and I just take over or I control or something like that. And so that's the piece that connection can help, because if your capacity for connection, if your ability to handle other people's dysregulation gets stronger, it becomes easier for you. Okay, so that's the capacity for connection. I'm going to go ahead and move on. Man, I could just go on and on about these, you guys. So if you have questions, please stick it in the comment. But I'm going to get through all of these. So the next one is the capacity for definition. So with definition is essentially knowing who you are and knowing what you are created to do or be here on this earth. And out of that comes your ability to then define in this moment or in this conflict what is mine to do and what is not mine to do. It becomes really helpful. Okay, I just got a question. It says, how do I use this to diffuse conflict between other people that's the result of something that likely happened decades ago? Well, you send them to me and I will work with them. But as far as your role, understanding that they both have hurt that go back to their own limbic systems, and what they need is to be able, they each need to be able to hear one another and to sit with the other. They each need to increase their capacity for connection and for definition so that they stay regulated. So, um, man, it's such a good question. And I think it's one that so many of us engage. In fact, somebody had said, what do I do when it ruins our workplace because nobody can deal with this. Nobody's moving forward. And what I would say is to move toward each one relationally and then find ways to help them to step out of their own hurt and try and understand and hear. And sometimes the active listening processes can be really helpful in that. But if you need more, just reach out and I can give you more on that. Thank you for the question. I appreciate it. So we were talking about definition, and that's having good boundaries, knowing what we're aiming for. So even in that situation, knowing that what is yours to do and what isn't. And so one of the traps that we often fall into is getting sucked to a side. And this is where the capacity for definition can be really helpful. The third capacity is the capacity for integration. And this is the ability to handle failures, the positive realities of life, as well as the negative. So if you think about, our world, we live in a world that's beautiful. I was in downtown Wichita the other day, and the buildings are beautiful, the sky was beautiful, the changing leaves are beautiful. And you also look and you see homelessness and you see brokenness everywhere. The same is true with every person that you interact with, that every person has beautiful, wonderful realities about them. And we all have these broken spaces in our limbic system that are going to create a sense of unsafety for others. And so when a leader can be integrated, when they can, and this, you see how this ties back even to the connection. If you can be integrated where negative realities don't overwhelm you, then it's going to help you to stay present. So one of the ways that you can actually build this in yourself is to admit your weaknesses or to admit your failures. Because what this does is it teaches your brain, that inside brain, the limbic system brain, that failure is not the end of the world and that you don't have to be overwhelmed by it. So it really is a powerful, powerful step that you can take. And then the last one is the capacity for collaboration. And this is kind of the perfect, coming back, or the perfect culmination of each of the three before. What's really specific and true to this capacity is that there is a sense or a posture of mutuality between everybody on the team, regardless of role. So imagine working on a team where everyone values everyone. Everyone is inviting of one another's voice. The leader is happy to let others speak more. You can see how this relates to so many different situations. Here's the thing with conflict is that conflict often creates a lack of mutuality. It creates kind of an us and them. And so the stronger your capacity for collaboration can be, will be really helpful. Okay, I see some comments, but they're not updating on my computer. So I'm going to let them update while I go into the next little bit here. So you have these four capacities. And now let's do a well, let me just take questions. Let me we have about 10 minutes. Are there any specific questions that you have that are related to either growing your own capacities or helping others to grow theirs? And while I wait for things to kind of come through, I am going. Let me re-up this and maybe that'll help me catch up on the things. Okay. Andy, you said, how do I use this to diffuse? Oh, you already did that. Sorry. It just didn't say who you were on my other one. If there are any other questions, please feel free to post them, but I am going to go ahead and just talk through a case study somebody sent me, and they said a team member is suffering in their personal life. They are constantly causing me to walk on eggshells with their emotions. I would like information on holding the martyr accountable after the rest of the team has done all they can for them. So this is a great example because it tells me several things. First of all, this leader likes to connect and likes to care for his or her team. The other thing it tells me is that nothing makes us walk on eggshells. What that means is that most likely this leader has a little bit of a deficit in definition because they feel sucked in and they don't know how to create good boundaries that let that person be miserable. Okay, so Jen, hi, Jen, my friend from Kansas City. We went to college together. Thanks for being here. Advise when the context or corporate culture does not create space for this. Yeah, this is one of the biggest shifts that I think corporate culture needs to make, and it needs to come from the top down. If the leader is not willing to strengthen their own core capacities and to normalize this, then I hate to say it, it is really difficult. That was my experience in one of my workplaces, and I had to find a place somewhere else. And so, what you can do is that as a leader, if you have a team, so even if it's not the entire corporate culture, if you have a team, then if you're the leader, you can make it happen. It's just in a smaller space. And then the beautiful thing is that as you grow and as your team grows, you grow stronger capacity to handle the negative reality that corporate world often wants to go. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Connor, I just saw your thing. It's impossible. Yeah. There has to be buy-in at the top. Zora, you're saying, oh, wrong one. What's in your view, the neuro leadership behavior to enable navigating conflict, and what one leadership behavior stops it? Did I read that in my view, the neuro change leadership behavior? Honestly, I think it's not a behavior. I think it's a capacity. I think leaders, the neuro change advantage that I'm going to be doing a workshop on in a couple of weeks is going to go into this a lot more. But our behaviors, remember over here, behaviors are at the end of this cycle. And until we get back to the limbic system and start healing some things, we're not going to be able to create new behaviors. And so the number one behavior or the number one step is to go back. The behavior that stops it is a leader's unwillingness to go there. And I see it over and over. It feels scary. It feels new. And so I'm on a mission to try and change that. Yeah. So these are all great questions, you guys. I could just do this every week. This is my favorite part, to get to interact with leaders like you. And these were great questions. Thank you so much, Connor, Zora, Jen, Daniel. Who else is here? Antonio, Tony, hi. Andy, did I say you? Thanks for being here. And again, I did want to let you know that on December 4, I'm going to be doing an online workshop. It's going to go into all of this a lot deeper. And I'm really excited about it. So I just want to invite you, if you can join me, that would be great. I'm going to put a link in the, let me see if I can do this. A link in the post. Oh, nope, it's not letting me. Oh, wait, maybe it'll go here. Nope. I'll put it in the LinkedIn comments. There we go. That's what I'll do. There we go. So there's a link to the registration for the workshop, and I would love to see you there. If you have, people that you're working with. I was talking with a change manager yesterday, and she just said over and over, "Oh my goodness, if we could partner together, excuse me, to she could lay out all of the change strategies, and then I get to come in behind and coach the leader and ensure that the capacities are there to be able to do the things." It would just, I really feel like this is an advantage that would give change managers, HR, any leader a huge advantage. So I just want to say thank you. We're almost done. Antonio, thank you. Hello from Mexico. Thanks, Zora. I just look forward to interacting more. Thanks, guys. Blessings today. Have a great day.